make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Well, hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a great weekend. So much has happened over the weekend. I have those 2 days that I don't get to talk to you, and it feels like now I have all kinds of stuff to celebrate because my friend Amy Lotta, tomorrow, has her new book called Doodle Fantasy Worlds. Amy is a crafter, word artist extraordinaire. She has many types of different doodle books, hand lettering books. You can go on her website, amylotta.com. And but this book comes out tomorrow, and she's thought of everything in here, including that the book lays flat. So when you put it down, it doesn't close. So when you're doodling, you can actually look. I'm like, look at this. If I had a camera person, we'd zoom in on this. But look, I mean, great things. It comes out tomorrow, of course, available on Amazon. And I don't know, there's on the back, there's a quote by, me. So there's that. So go get that. She's been on this show many times. I love her. She's fantastic. Go support her and get her book. Also, congratulations to our #1 show last week. There you go. Be Someone's Ray of Light. Great episode. I hope you go watch that or listen to it wherever you get your podcast, wherever you're watching the show now. Just find that episode and go support, would you? All right. Speaking of more amazing things, that was our #1 show last week. Let's see how many views we're at so far for the show. We started 2025 with 100,000 views. Let's see where we're at today. Why? There's no reason for 2 drum rolls. 241,464,000 views and downloads. Thank you to everybody who watches, who shares, who likes, hearts, loves. Now's a good time to just share the show. If you're sitting there, you're watching, you're listening, just share it right now. Press the little button. Okay? Okay. And also, good morning, Stacey Andon. Hello, I love you. Stacey has a great podcast called Everyday Enchantment that y'all need to go check out. She's amazing. I think the next season is coming soon. Right, Stacey? I help her with that podcast, so I hope so. Speaking of more great podcasts, congratulations to the Before You Go podcast. Season 2 starts today. I'm lucky enough to get to help them with the production and editing of that podcast. It's through a nonprofit in San Antonio called Abode, and they help people in the last few months of their lives. And it's a great, great nonprofit. The podcast is all about death, dying, the good, the bad, the ugly. If you can believe it or not, there are some really great things about dying with dignity. And it's a wonderful podcast that you learn so many things about. I promise it's not just all sad and depressing. They're doing really fun, great, amazing work there at Abode. So take a look at this clip. It's available wherever you get your podcasts.
This man got this service because of the person he was. And so really, that just tells me, be the best version of yourself. Be good to others. And be somebody that you want people to miss. I guess,
that's right? A really good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Earn this celebration, he probably had a whole bunch of people there, people who loved him, who were going to miss him. And that was such a reflection of the type of life that he led.
Right.
All right, I just realized, obviously, this is what happens when you do a live show, that we don't have the first guests and ready. But we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we will be right back with Jerry Werner after this. Don't go away.
Listen, everyone needs a co-conspirator to reimagine their lives and uncover the opportunities in the challenges they face. If you are looking for the place where hope meets possibility, and you are ready to create a life of meaning despite the diagnosis, look no further. Helen is a certified professional coach with a background in medical research and an autoimmune diagnosis who brings compassion, empathy, and your best interests to every conversation. Learn more about coaching with Helen at helensampsonmullen.com.
All right, welcome back. My first guest is here and ready to go. Are you ready for some high-flying adventure? My first guest has lived a life that most of us can only dream of, and he's written all about it in his new book, Grandpa's Adventures in the U.S. Navy, Soul Searching on the Way to Mars. He's a retired Navy pilot who has flown fighter jets at twice the speed of sound, survived hurricanes at sea, and has even been a prisoner of war. He's here to share his incredible death-defying stories and tell us all about his book. Please welcome Jerry Werner. Jerry, nice to have you here.
Thank you. Very happy to be here, Richard.
We just learned that we're both from Wisconsin, which is amazing.
Yes, there aren't that many of us.
No. Are you still living there or not?
No, I split my time between Manhattan and Montreal.
Okay. Do you ever have to go back to Wisconsin, or are you?
I go back every year. I have 6 younger brothers and sisters.
my gosh.
All but one of them still live there, along with nieces and nephews and so forth.
Yes. I have to go back every year. All my family is there, so I have to make my trip.
But you make it during warm weather, right?
Of course, yes. Of course. I have to fly into Minneapolis and then drive 4 hours to get to them. So that is not a winter trip.
No, it's not.
No. Well, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Grandpa's Adventures in the U.S. Navy. I think we can all guess what it's about, but what made you decide to write an autobiography?
Well, I started out as a kid in rural Wisconsin and wanted to be an astronaut, but I came from a poor family and lived in the middle of farmland. And so the book is about discovering what it takes to become an astronaut. At that time, I was fortunate that the Mercury astronauts had written a book called We 7, and it outlined, and I took notes from it. It was a 13-year-old. Took notes from the book to find out how did they get to be astronauts. They all, of course, were pilots. And along the way, they got advanced degrees, mostly from the Naval Academy. They became fighter pilots. They got a master's degree in a technical subject like aeronautics, and they all were test pilots. So that became my plan, my astronaut track. And so for the next 20 years, I pursued it with lots of failures along the way, which I'll tell you about. But I told the stories to my children when they were growing up. I had 3 children of my own, 3 additional children now from second marriage, along with 5 grandchildren. But my 3 children said, "Dad, you've got to share those stories with us, write them up so we have them for the grandkids." And so that was what inspired me to write the book. I waited until after I retired and had 3 years in which to work on it. 800 pages in 2 volumes. But not to worry, it was large print, lots of pictures.
Did you ever think you were going to write a book? Was that
No.
ever kind of in your plan?
No, not part of my plan at all. And I'm one of the most naive first-time authors ever. I actually thought that somebody would pay for the books that go into Barnes and Noble. No, not the case. Author pays the whole freight and shipping and all. They belong to me, and I get paid a royalty based on what they sell. Which, by the way, the book is done very well in Barnes and Noble, but because I'm the one that has to pay for the books to go there, they're only in 15 stores, and in those 15 stores, the book is among new authors, is a bestseller among new authors.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are you hearing from people who have read the book?
Of course, friends and family love it. My high school classmates, I was on back to Wisconsin for a family reunion and high school reunion recently, and they loved it. Most of them said they're waiting for the next book, but of course, I want to get this one sold first.
Who would you say the book is for?
Well, the book ostensibly is for my 5 grandchildren, and every word, every story is aimed at them. They're still little kids, the oldest of which is 8 years old. But it's for young adults primarily, but I was surprised at how many people my age, by the way, I'm 76 now. It's surprising how many people my age like it too. Reminds them of, what life was like back then.
Mhm.
And it's a book for anybody who likes adventure, especially aviation, I would say.
What was it like to look back and go through all of that and to put that all down on paper?
Well, one thing that I learned, which I'm sure that you know, Richard, is the events we remember best have some emotion attached to them, either
Mhm.
very happy, very sad, very scary. So it was hard writing it. I had one terrible night at the aircraft carrier where I almost didn't make it. I couldn't land. My roommate had been killed a few days before that, and he appeared to me as a ghost. But anyway, on my mind was his death, and I had a terrible time getting aboard the aircraft carrier. And reliving that chapter to write it set me back a couple of weeks. I decided to take a pause,
Mm.
but many of the scenes were fun. Many made me feel like a kid again. But in all cases, I had to relive that chapter.
Was it writing that kind of therapeutic in some ways? Were you a writer before? Like, were you a journaler or anything like that before?
I was a jokester, storyteller, stand-up comedian, and had written a number of short stories, but I'd never written a book before.
Uh-huh.
But yes, it was therapeutic. And surprising to me, Richard, was it put parts of my life in perspective that I'd never thought about before. What I thought of as a failure, I failed to get into a fighter squadron and I got my wings. And I thought that was a failure. As it turns out, I got to be a jet flight instructor for a couple of years. Wow, did that improve my flying skills, my ability as a pilot? When I did finally get into a fighter squadron, it was a huge benefit to me that I never thought about until I wrote the book.
Hmm. Do you have a favorite part of the book or a favorite piece that, like, when you were writing it, that you remembered and it brought back a ton of joy?
Well, I remember some of the romantic escapades, but flying part, my favorite chapter was I came to land in the aircraft carrier and I bounced and missed the wire and had to go around again. And I was told I lost one of my wheels. You only have 3, and the main mount was missing. And that whole story of how we landed successfully without dying
Wow.
was one of my favorite stories. That was one of the first chapters that I wrote up in the book.
Mm.
I guess overall, the message I want to send to anybody is when you want to be the best of the best, whatever your endeavor in life is, it's not going to be easy. There are going to be failures and setbacks and sidesteps along the way. You got to expect that. It's all built in.
Yeah.
I'm reminding myself now in the publishing of the book and promoting the book that it's not a zip from A to Z. You automatically make a lot of money and a bestseller. There are a lot of setbacks along the way. But in spite of all those failures, I still was #1 at Top Gun, fighter pilot of the year, and got the best test pilot assignment in the entire world in the end. But you never thought so halfway down that track.
What do you love most about your life now?
The relationship with my wife, my dog, which you can relate to the dog, man's best friend, my children, my grandchildren, those relationships, a whole lot of love. That's
Yeah.
the best part of my life right now.
And what do you hope people take away from reading the book?
Well, I hope that they would be entertained, most are, but information about when we try for a goal of any kind, it doesn't have to be astronaut, it doesn't have to be MVP in the National Football League. A goal to have a happy life with a spouse is an enduring goal. but there'll be problems along the way. There'll be setbacks. There'll be difficulties to deal with. And life doesn't go smoothly for me. And when we checked out biographies of famous people who have become successful, you find out they had a lot of failures along the way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the best way that people can follow you and support you?
JerryWerner.com. Lots of extra information, including how to buy the book.
The book is called Grandpa's Adventures in the U.S. Navy. Jerry, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Richard. I wish you all the best.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Start promoting today, everyone. We're back. My next guest started his first business in college and sold it for over 7 figures before he even hit 30. He's the author of the book, The Silent Salesmen, a sought-after guide translated into multiple languages. And if you're looking to amplify your own voice and impact, listen up. He's trained over 600 speakers, authors, and CEOs, many of whom have become best-selling authors and globally recognized experts. Are we ready? Please welcome Mitch Carson. Hello.
Great to be here. Wow, I see myself in an old-fashioned TV. I'm going to age myself. This is what I grew up on, physically turning the knobs on a TV like this. It didn't have the podcast mic, though.
No, no. Mine was a Zenith. I remember that. And I walking up there and loving the clicks, like the sound of clicks was one of my favorite sounds growing up.
Yeah, Zenith, and there was RCA Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two big brands back then. I think they're defunct now, but well, thank you for bringing me back in time.
Well, anytime. Thanks for being here. Tell everybody about your book, The Silent Salesman.
Well, I've written several books. Let me grab it real quick because you have it up on screen.
Of course, I'm prepared.
And that was the beginning. Was the English version, which was published by John Wiley and Sons. I wrote this in 2006. It finally hit the bookshelves, as in physical bookstores. This is pre-Amazon in 2008. And then it sold so well, I sold 11,000 copies at its opening, which is very good for a first-time author. And then it got translated into German, distributed by Ingram, and then it sold another 4,000 in the first week in the German market. So I was very proud of that.
That's amazing. Tell everybody what they're going to find in it. And then my other question, I have lots of questions for you.
Sure.
But since 2000, you said 6 that you wrote that book?
Wrote it, and then it took 2 years. The old publishing model is you work off a book proposal. John Wiley and Sons sent me $10,000 as a signing bonus, which I then was able to use on editing after the fact and doing a lot of little supplemental and used marketing dollars to make it a bestseller. And because you got to invest in a book to make it happen. You're birthing a child, you got to change its diapers. And there was a lot to be involved with making things happen. And subsequently, I had a long lag. And the old model, and I also sold it in airport bookstores, which was a huge boost in sales because the ideal traveler is a wealthy business person. I got to make sure I don't make it gender specific. Business person. We're in 2025. So it's a business person buys it sitting on the shelf because they're bored and they're going to travel. They're sitting at perfect audience to sell books. So it was a great stepping stone for my career as a speaker, and making it a bestseller was a great effort.
Well, that brings me to a question of who the book is for, and are we all in some sense a salesperson?
It does cover that in this book. I wrote this because I owned an ad agency back during those years. And in order for me to gain credibility, I wrote the book, and what it was filled with was a bunch of case studies from clients, businesses, largely for business owners. It's not for stay-at-home moms unless they want to launch the business, and it offered ideas in that genre. So it's for business owners. So I had clients ranging from small businesses that were only doing $5 million in revenues all the way up to some big corporate accounts. I had Wells Fargo Bank was a client, and some very large waste management companies, and all over the gamut of corporate business.
How
So
did you
that's
get
who
into
it was for
this?
back then. Yes.
Okay. And how did you get into the business world in general? Is that what you were studying in college, or?
My undergraduate degree was in journalism,
Mm,
and try to get a job in TV back then was, you had to have a connection. So it wasn't very easy, but that gave me a good basis for understanding what people want to consume, fact checking, great foundation for my career. And it also enabled me to become a public speaker, and writing was not a challenge. So when you're able to write well and communicate well, doors open. So doors are opening all the time. We're opening all the time when I had this book to show my skills, my background. And it started with a little book that I came out with before that, which I self-published. I've self-published 18 books.
oh my gosh.
And the only one that's up, and I used it as a vehicle to sell high-end consulting services. Hey, I want to gift you this. Fancy business cards is how I would use books. They were just fancy business cards. And I put them in hardbound wrappings because the prestige was higher than softbound, which is my most recent book. I covered all these authors that I taught the book writing process in Singapore, and it's softbound. But if it became hardbound, I might run some in hardbound. Then that comes to the category of almost coffee table. If you have a coffee table book, it sits there a lot longer than a paperback.
From 2008, when the Silent Salesman came out, I assume that a lot has changed.
A lot.
Is there
We
going
had
to be
a
an updated
pandemic
version of that?
between that time. Yeah, we had a little pandemic. Remember that blip in time?
Vaguely, yes.
Vaguely, yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, I wrote that book then. It garnered great credibility, many stages around the world. I've spoken on stages in 63 countries, because if you are a published author, and I liked your last guest, and he was able to get out on paper what he experienced with his years in the military, fantastic. You're respected more, your credibility rises, and nobody can take it away from you. It's if you are a college graduate, no one can take that away from you. If you are a published author, no one can take that away from you. You've risen to a level most people aspire to reach. Few will reach it because they just don't do the work, or they don't see themselves as an author. It's self-perception has to change before you make it happen. And the belief that you can do these, it's not that difficult once you do it once. The second book is easy. The first book is always hard. The first time you hit a home run in Little League Baseball, if ever, or you connect with the bat, let's say, get on there, you swing and you strike out quite a few times first. You don't hit every pitch, but you have to be consistent, go to the batting cage, keep swinging the bat, and then you get there eventually. Did you ever play Little League?
Yes, my dad forced me to. Yes, my dad was the coach, so I had to.
Yeah, you have to swing the bat, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, yes.
You make your dad proud, you know.
Yeah, he wasn't so proud of me sitting outside, out in the outfield picking flowers, but that's a different story. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Okay.
Also, can you tell everybody kind of how you work with them in order to? I mean, it's kind of sounds like it's a lot of like accountability and planning and coaching that way, right?
Yes. I create worldwide experts, people who want a big stage. And in some cases, it's local. Writing a book is cathartic for some people. This man that you just had on as an example, because it's recent and he was there, and I think we both respect what he contributed, was a catharsis of his vast experience, his time in the military, in the Navy specifically. You know, we're working with fighter jets. That's all great. People live through these stories, either directly or vicariously. And clients who are successful tell stories that are relatable to their audience. If it's relatable, message to market match, you're going to have a good romance of connecting to people. So if I were talking about something that didn't apply to your audience, they might tune out. But if they're interested in what I'm sharing, they're leaning in. They're paying attention. So I help people who want to be the number one person in their niche or category. And one of the stepping stones to achieve that status is writing a book or a series of books, because a series means, oh, wow, you're quite prolific. 2 or more constitutes a series. It could be parts 1, 2. I recommend about 3 if you're going to write a series, and it's valuable. I have done that in the self-published world, but I didn't ever publish it on Amazon. This one just recently went to Amazon bestseller, and that came out just a couple weeks ago. So there are more that are in the publishing arena, but it's a great tool. And then if you back that up by television being covered on podcast like yours, which is a live feed, this is a different level than being recorded. We're now live, higher deliverable, more credible, because people are on the spot. You can go back and edit something that's recorded, can't you?
Yeah.
You can't edit live. Let's just show it. This is more credible. I have to applaud you. You've got a great format. I love all the little accessories and the game up. It's a nice podcast. You've elevated yourself through how you've dressed it. You've added the little. I see the cup. I see all these different things that are on screen here. I love the TV. Fantastic. All of these things matter when you're communicating to the market. You've wrapped your show in a Tiffany box versus Target.
It's ripped, probably. The Tiffany box is a little ripped and broken, but yes.
It looks pretty good and clean blue and white wrapping paper.
Yes.
Is
it
blue and white wrapping paper?
Is it, from your perspective now, more difficult or easier, since there are so many outlets now, even compared to when the book came out?
Sure. I think people will say it's saturated. The people who are successful in life, and I'll use this for you. I don't know if you're a published author or not, but if you haven't, do it. I think you've got a great show. That's a deliverable, bud. Write a book. Yeah, write a book. We can talk about that later. But if you've written a book, that's one thing. If you've created a podcast, then if you have created you talked about the numbers of wow, huge following, huge amount of downloads, a large amount of, you said over 100,000, like, you caught my attention. And you've dressed the show up. Look at how unique yours is with showing your guest in a TV. Man, this sets you apart. You've got to do 1% more than your competition. There are loads and loads of podcasts out there, as we know, and growing every day. Most quit before they reach 20 episodes. Most quit. You're doing what most podcasts, I've been on probably 100 podcasts, approximately. Very few do 2 things that you're doing. Number 1, dressing it up. Number 2, you had this tee up. Number 3, you're live. And number 4, you talked about the numbers and you've got a good screen presence. So I already know that you're successful. I don't know how many shows you've done, but I bet a lot, because this takes time. You've put in the effort. No pain, no gain, no sweat, no muscles.
Yes. I always tell people when they're starting podcasts, because I help people produce podcasts as well and edit them. And like, it's a commitment. Like, this is not just show up. And, I've been on the podcast that they're sitting in front of their kitchen sink recording, and, like, it's all in how you want to show up, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I didn't start out like this. This took 5 years to be like, oh, I could kind of up it and not have 2 screens next to each other. And like, how do you do that? Like, how do you make it like you said, 1% better?
Yeah, you've evolved. I would imagine where you were in your first interview to where you are today. You've put in the effort.
Yeah.
You put in the effort. You put your time. You got to swing the bat repeatedly and strike out a few times before you connect. And then you make everybody proud. And then you get noticed when you start getting base hits. and then the occasional home run. And that's the same. That's true. It's the perfect metaphor, baseball, because we're here in America talking about, hey, occasionally you're going to have a home run interview.
Yeah.
Certain people are going to stand out more than others, and you just have to keep swinging the bat. Even though your dad forced you.
Yes. I'll get him. He's probably watching right now too. Like, I didn't make you, but you did. You did. I have like a couple, because I know a lot of creatives, a lot of authors watch this show. So I have some kind of specific questions for you that I hope you can help.
Sure, bud.
And then I'm disguising that as I don't want to know these answers. Because these are all answers I picked. Or questions I picked. So with all of the, like, every day it feels like there's a different social media account program that everybody needs to be on, and it can be so exhausting and overwhelming for people to do all of it and do it all differently. Are there like certain things we should be on versus shouldn't, or needs or wants? Like, how do you figure out where to go?
Well, I think you have to go where your audience exists and where they can consume your information.
Okay.
And that's number one. It's a basic principle that's been around a long time. You can't sell left-handed golf clubs to a right-handed golf club community. You've got to find where left-handed golf clubs swings their club and talk to that audience. If you're talking about diapers, I don't think you're going to, senior citizens aren't going to be the right audience to market to. They're done with that.
Adult diapers.
Well, that I was going to say, you caught me there before I got to the punchline. Thank you. You brought it up. Yes. Then you switch. Then you're going to Depends, maybe.
Right.
Yes. You go from Pampers to Depends.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to market the right product to that audience. So if it is seniors, and we all get older. I'm not at the diaper stage yet, but it might happen at some point in my life. But diapers for infants is not what a senior citizen wants to hear. It might remind them of their nightmare days changing diapers, or you have to manage and market Depends to that audience. And don't be embarrassed. It happens to all of us, and the perfect opportunity is to use Depends. Yes, it's marketing the right product to the right market at the right time. If someone were to talk about Depends to me when I was 40 years old, it would be a mismatch, message to market mismatch. So if your audience exists on television, as in traditional network television, or you want to leverage the credibility of being on network television, then that might get you on first-class podcasts such as yours, or be eligible for Lewis Howes or Joe Rogan, which I think he's number 1 or 2 in the world right now. I don't know. But those are I think you try it all, show the credibility, the plumage that's inside your peacock feathers, and then I've got all this. You shake your feathers, and then people will be interested. It's a dance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say that too. And I think like it can also change, right? Like where your audience is, like you said, like the actual audience, who they are, but also where they go. Like for us, we live stream to a couple different platforms every day. And usually Facebook is where most people are watching. But then sometimes like LinkedIn will just, one episode has 50,000 views, like out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're starting to see traction on LinkedIn all of a sudden. And so
because it's changing, just like you said, it's changing. LinkedIn wasn't it was a job search place originally.
Yeah.
Then it became a networking place. Then it became a marketing place. Then now it's doing live streaming, like you just mentioned, and it's gaining traction.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. My other question is, who should have a media kit?
Speakers, definitely for people who want to speak and convey their message. If you want to get on a podcast, you need what is called a one sheet. You're very familiar with that, being a host. Someone submits their media balance sheet, is what I refer to it. It's a one sheet, just like in accounting, you have a balance sheet, which is a snapshot in time of your financial picture. This is your picture of who you are, what you've done, what you can cover during a podcast interview or a television interview or a radio show interview It's multi-purpose. And it's so different than the old media kits when I was speaking in my early career. It was a physical package of stuff, and it included a VHS tape that went in there, which people could then put into the player to see you on stage. Today, it's one sheet with a link they can click on, see you speaking on YouTube, or click to when you've been interviewed on podcasts like this. This is TV in the more current environment. What we're doing now, this is live TV.
Yeah.
You can't have inexperienced guests here. They might fold because it's live. That intimidates people. That's why I said your podcast is at a higher level. I love the TV because I feel like I'm on TV, and it's a live, multi-purposed broadcast. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook. Are we on YouTube Live also?
We are, yes.
Yes, all of this.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I didn't know that before I came here. I saw the live in my calendar. So, oh, this is fantastic. Love it. I've got plenty of guests that would to submit to you.
Well, let's go. Let's
23 of them right here that are all best-selling authors in this book. Clients of mine.
You know how to find me.
I do.
Have them click that link, and I'll probably be sitting right here waiting.
Okay.
Are these all things that you help your clients with, like media kits and all of that stuff, and figuring out that? Is that
them.
What you do?
Putting them in a Tiffany box, and I'd love to include you as part of the process because this is a great step. I have been on a couple live podcasts, but nobody at your level. Oh gosh, please don't listen to me from the others. But I like
now
how
I'm
you
crumble.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but the TV, you got the drum roll and these different, it's all cool, man. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
You've got a real creative flair to you. And that's all part of the message. These little distinctions matter. One little hinges swing big doors. All these little hinges swing the media, which is you, and the brand, which is you, by adding podcast recordings, podcast live, this is a higher level service. And then you have maybe network television. I'm a show host on NBC TV here in Las Vegas. I have a show that airs on Sundays, interviewing experts. The Amazing Authorities is what I call my show, but it's record to live because I can't risk in a 30-minute show somebody messing up. Got to edit. And I applaud you for screening people properly to do this live show here because I feel like I'm in studio, virtual studio. I'm on TV, RCA.
And that's what I wanted when I did this was set it up as people can come here and I have chairs to sit and have, in-person stuff, but also make it feel like you're also actually here with me. That was the goal.
Yeah, I'm on Zenith. You've taken me back to my youth.
Yeah, I think I need a TV sponsor. Zenith, White Westinghouse, any
of those old brands. Yeah. I don't know if any of them are around anymore, though.
I don't even. What is the best way that people can connect with you and learn more about you? And
if they're interested in getting on network television here in Las Vegas, I'm the only publicist in the nation that I know of. Somebody might else be out there that I guarantee 4 TV interviews in 2 days in Las Vegas, ABC, CBS, NBC, and the CW. Guaranteed exposure, live television in studio. And if they're interested in finding out how to make that happen, I do it all in 2 days. Fly to Vegas, we'll make it happen, get you media trained and ready. One of the great ways to do that is, of course, a step on your show to get them prepared for live TV. We're broadcast throughout the Nevada market. GetInterviewedGuaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. GetInterviewedGuaranteed.com/meet with Mitch is where, use the www before that, of course. And then we can chat about how we can make that happen for you if you're interested in being on live network television. I think this is a great step. I've got so many clients to refer to you. Let me tell you.
Well, you know how to find me. I already said that. You'll see a lot of Mitch on this show and all of his people very soon. What do you love most about your life right now?
That I'm 64 years old and still looking forward. Not looking backward. I'm still looking forward. Its attitude is my mindset. Many of my contemporaries are living in the past or they've let go. I am still paying it forward, looking forward. What can I do to contribute to what's changed from, let's say, when I was 40 to where I am today? I was in make money mode. Now I'm into helping others mode and paying it forward. So I've still got a lot of mentorship to provide and help to other people. I've been to my own respective mountaintop in my career, and now I like to make others reach that and realize their dreams. And that's why I help authors, wannabe authors, become best-selling authors, getting them on TV, because it is so gratifying to see people become successful. So gratifying.
Yeah, it has to be. Yes. Yeah. I mean,
It's a
even
form of
yes,
parenting.
even from my perspective, when they're on my show and then I see that their book is #1 after it got
Yes.
released, I'm like, oh, I'm so like, I get so excited that I get to be a part of it.
That's great. Like I had this is out there. It's still got a best-selling campaign, The Amazing Authors of Singapore. I'll make the shameless plug. Thank you for allowing me. This is the most recent book, was released 2 weeks ago, and it is gaining traction. Singapore is a small market, but that's where I concentrate a lot of my efforts, is in Asia. It's just how it's worked out in my career, the later years of my career.
Well, let's see. I have some website up here for you. Oh, it's mitchcarson.com. Is
Yes.
that also how they can get to you as well?
They can.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. mitchcarson.com.
Or mitch@mitchcarson.com is my email as well. That different email.
There you go. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of your wisdom, all the help you're bringing to people. I love it.
Well, thanks for inviting me on the show and bringing me back to my youth with that RCA Victor or Zenith. I don't know the brand, but I think that just reminded me, you have to turn it by hand. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So fun.
Yeah. I have to
appreciate
figure
your
out, I
time.
want to get like a remote to do this, or figure out how I can walk up, click it, and then put the screen on. But we'll figure that out for next season.
Yeah, next time. It's a small tweak. All right. Well, thank you for having me on your show, buddy.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a great
take
day.
care.
That's our show, everyone. That was fun. Come back tomorrow with creative artist Ariel Bryan, and we've got stress reducer Phil Barth on the show tomorrow. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching the show, and I love you for it. Now's also a really good time to just click that share button again. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.